What if I told you that the most anointed people you'll ever encounter aren't standing under spotlights, but are instead hidden in the shadows? That the truly chosen ones, the ones God places His most strategic call upon, often look nothing like the world expects. They don't boast. They don't beg for attention. They don't perform for crowds. They endure. They outlast storms that others can't even stand in. You see, the chosen aren't chosen because they are strong. They're chosen because they won't run when it gets hard. And what sets them apart? The first mark. The first scar they carry. The hidden mark of rooted faith. It's a painful thing to feel invisible, isn't it? To pray fervently, to serve quietly, to love faithfully, and yet remain unseen. But hear me, invisibility does not mean insignificance. In fact, it is often the proof that you are in divine development. Jeremiah 17 verses 7-8 thunders through time like a divine echo. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes, its leaves are always green. The chosen are not flowers that bloom for admiration. They are trees that endure drought, wind, and weight, and remain standing. God doesn't water your leaves first. He strengthens your roots. And you'll know you're marked when people admire your fruit but have no idea of your battles. They see your smile, but they never saw your surrender. They hear your testimony, but they never saw the tears you wept in silence. The world asks, where is your platform? God asks, where are your roots? There comes a moment in every chosen soul's journey where heaven grows quiet. You pray. No answer. You fast. No shift. You obey. No recognition. But that silence isn't abandonment. It's a test. A test of what you believe when no one is watching, and nothing is moving. Because chosen ones are not trained in applause, they are trained in absence. Let me tell you this truth, and let it burn into your spirit, before God ever makes you known in the light, He roots you in the dark. Because only those who are rooted can handle what will come when the fruit finally appears. You ask God for influence, but influence comes with storms. You ask for promotion, but elevation comes with exposure. And if your roots are shallow, success will snap you in half. So if you're in a dry place today, if it feels like heaven is hiding, it may be that your roots are growing deeper than ever before. You're not being punished. You're being planted. Let me ask you, when was the last time you praised God with no promise in sight? That is the language of rooted faith. Rooted faith worships in drought. Rooted faith waits in silence. Rooted faith obeys without clarity. It's what Job had when he cried, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. It's what Joseph had when he was sold by his brothers, falsely accused, locked in prison, and still remained faithful. People want your anointing, but they don't want your night seasons. They want your breakthrough, but not your betrayal. But the chosen? They stay. They stay when everyone else walks out. They serve when no one claps. They believe when nothing makes sense. They are not held up by human affirmation. They are anchored in divine intimacy. And let me be real, storms will come. Winds will blow. People will leave. Opportunities will close. But when your faith is rooted in who God is and not just what He does, you become unshakable. There's a difference between religion and rootedness. Religion puts on a face. Rootedness holds on to faith. Religion performs on Sunday. Rootedness perseveres on Monday. Religion wants recognition. Rootedness wants intimacy. Many walk into church buildings and know how to perform praise. But when the storm hits, the volume of their worship disappears. That's because emotion isn't the same as endurance. The chosen have learned how to bleed and believe at the same time. They know how to be weary and yet still worship. They don't deny the pain, they declare God's goodness in it. They carry a secret strength, forged not by what they've achieved, but by what they've survived. Don't envy the chosen. They've been broken in private. They've lost things they never speak about. They've prayed prayers they'll never post. You think they're strong? No. They're submitted. They are what they are because they've refused to quit when others would've. And let me tell you something holy, God doesn't anoint the comfortable. He anoints the consistent. When God chose David, he didn't look in the palace, he looked in the field. While David's brothers were impressing men, David was fighting lions when no one watched. That is the mark. Faith that is built without a stage. Faith that is proved in the waiting. Faith that clings to God even when everything says, walk away. I know it feels long. I know the waiting is painful. I know you're wondering, God, have you forgotten me? But this is where your roots are growing. This is where God is preparing you. And when the time comes, and the rain falls, and the fruit appears, people will ask, where did you come from? And you'll smile, because they never saw the nights you wept in your room. They never saw the chapters you had to endure in silence. But you'll know. You were never invisible. You were planted. And those who are planted by the waters shall bear fruit in season. Obedience. Not the kind that earns praise. Not the kind that fits your logic. But the kind that hurts. The kind that confuses your closest friends. The kind that draws stares from family who say, why would you give that up? Why would you walk away from that opportunity? Why would you obey something that doesn't make sense? This is uncommon obedience. And it's the second unmistakable mark of the chosen. When God told Abraham to sacrifice his only son, the one he waited decades for, he didn't give a sermon. He gave a sentence, take your son, your only son, whom you love, and sacrifice him. And what did Abraham do early the next morning? He obeyed. No arguing. No bargaining. No delay. Chosen people obey fast. Not because they understand, but because they trust. This is the kind of obedience that says, I don't need the full blueprint, God's voice is enough. In a world that teaches you to calculate, weigh options, and make wise decisions based on benefit, the chosen walk a narrow road. Their reward isn't found in logic. It's found in obedience. Let's be honest, obedience can feel like death. Because it kills your will. It murders your pride. It buries your comfort. But it resurrects something greater, divine alignment. You don't become chosen because you obey once. You're revealed as chosen because you obey when obedience costs you everything. Uncommon obedience is what makes angels whisper and demons flee. Why? Because hell knows, a man or woman who fully obeys God is unstoppable. Let me take you to a quiet place. A kitchen table at midnight. A woman sits, bills piled in front of her. Her income is short. Rent is due. Groceries low. But she hears God whisper, give. Not logical. Not easy. And yet, she writes the check. Sows the seed. Walks away with tears in her eyes, but peace in her spirit. Nobody saw her. But heaven did. That's uncommon obedience. Let me take you into the life of a young man. He's engaged, career path laid out, friends cheering for his next step. But one night, in prayer, he hears, let it go. I have something different. He weeps. He wrestles. But he obeys. No one understands. But God never asked for their understanding. He asked for his yes. You want to know what separates the called from the chosen? Obedience. The called hear the instructions. The chosen follow them. The called celebrate the prophecy. The chosen sacrifice to see it fulfilled. Every time you say yes in the dark, heaven records it. Every time you obey when it hurts, your roots grow deeper. Your reward isn't just on earth. It's eternal. The world won't clap for you. But the angels will. Sometimes God will call you to leave something that's not even bad. A good relationship. A stable job. A comfortable place. Why? Because obedience isn't about what makes sense. It's about what makes surrender. Can you walk away when you don't know where you're going? Can you carry out the assignment when there's no audience? Can you trust Him when you can't track Him? That's what uncommon obedience looks like. Think of Noah building the ark, before one drop of rain. Think of Mary saying yes to carry the Son of God, before Joseph understood. Think of Jesus in Gethsemane saying, "Not my will, but yours be done." You may think waiting to obey is harmless. But partial obedience is rebellion in disguise. When God speaks, timing matters. Early the next morning, Abraham obeyed. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He moved because the voice of God is not a suggestion, it's a command. And when you respond with hesitation, you give the enemy time to whisper fear, pride, doubt. The devil is not afraid of Christians who hear God. He's terrified of those who obey immediately. Your obedience unlocks access. God will never give public authority to someone He can't trust in private surrender. So He'll test you. With something small. With something secret. With something no one else will ever see. Why? Because the level of your future is connected to the depth of your present obedience. The next door is not based on your desire, it's based on your discipline. Uncommon obedience always precedes uncommon favor. Abraham's yes brought generational covenant. Esther's yes saved a nation. Jesus' yes redeemed humanity. So today, what is God asking of you? A relationship to let go of? A city to leave? A calling to step into? Whatever it is. Say yes. Not because it's easy. Not because you have all the answers. But because obedience is the language of the chosen. You may not understand the assignment. You may feel afraid. But the chosen don't walk by understanding. They walk by surrender. And when you say yes, you're not walking alone. You're stepping into something the enemy can't stop, divine favor born through holy obedience. You want to know what separates the ordinary believer from the chosen? It's not how much they preach. It's not how many followers they have. It's how much they love, especially when it costs everything. The third hidden mark of the chosen is sacrificial love. Not the soft, comfortable kind of love. But the love that bleeds, love that costs, love that chooses mercy when revenge would be easier. This love doesn't seek spotlight. It suffers silently, but it never stops giving. When Jesus laid down His life, He wasn't applauded by crowds. He was rejected. Betrayed. Spit on. Abandoned. And still. He loved. He said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." That is the model for every chosen one. True love doesn't need to be deserved. It doesn't wait for apology. It doesn't keep score. Sacrificial love says, "I will bless you, even if you curse me. I will forgive, even when you're not sorry. I will stay soft, even when the world tries to harden me." This is not weakness. This is warfare. The devil doesn't fear noise. He fears a believer who refuses to grow bitter. Why? Because bitterness makes your spirit accessible to darkness, but mercy invites heaven's presence. When you choose love over vengeance, you become a dangerous person in the spirit. Why? Because the enemy has no hook in you. No open wound to infect. No offense to manipulate. Love is your shield. Mercy is your sword. And every time you choose it, you break cycles that have lasted generations. The chosen are often placed in impossible situations, relationships where betrayal is common, trust is broken, and patience is tested. Why? Because God knows only those who are chosen can carry his love to hard places. Think about this: Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, and still fed them during famine. Hosea married a woman who left him again and again, and God told him, "Go love her again." Jesus washed Judas' feet, knowing Judas would soon betray him. That's sacrificial love. And maybe, just maybe, the person in your life who hurts you most is your divine assignment, not to fix them, but to love them into freedom. The enemy loves to repeat cycles. Generational anger. Generational pride. Generational silence. Generational abuse. But when a chosen one steps in and says, "It stops with me. I will love differently," heaven records that moment. Because love isn't passive, it's powerful. And when it's sacrificial, it doesn't just change the present. It rewrites bloodlines. Let's talk to the ones who cry in secret. You're the one who holds the family together. The one who listens when no one listens to you. The one who prays for those who talk behind your back. The one who shows up again and again, never thanked, rarely seen. Let me tell you something: heaven sees every tear. God is not unjust. He sees your labor of love. And he has not forgotten you. Hebrews 6 verse 10 says, "God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them." Some of you have poured out your love for people who gave nothing in return. You stayed. You served. You sacrificed. And they walked away, without a thank you. Let me remind you, you weren't serving them. You were serving through them, unto God. And he says in Galatians 6 verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The chosen don't love for applause. They love for obedience. And God always repays obedience. Have you ever loved someone so deeply, and they still left? Have you given your best, and it still wasn't enough? Let me tell you something: God saw it. He measured it. He will repay it. Job lost everything. But the Bible says God restored double. The pain of sacrificial love never goes unnoticed. God doesn't waste pain. He multiplies it into purpose. And if you've lost because of love, you are right in line for a divine restoration that the enemy can't block. This mark is not for the faint of heart. It takes spiritual maturity. It takes a crucified ego. It takes a heart that says, "I will love, even when I don't get anything in return." That's divine. That's rare. That's chosen. You want to know what proves you belong to God? Not your talent. Not your title. But your love. Jesus said in John 13 verse 35, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." That's the mark. That's the mission. That's the power the devil can't touch. There's a war that rages, not on battlefields with swords or tanks, but in the unseen realms, between light and darkness, between truth and deception. And those who are chosen, are often drafted without warning. They're not asked. They're summoned. And one of the clearest marks of the chosen is this: they are trained for silent warfare. Let's be honest, many people want spiritual power, but few are willing to walk through spiritual war. They want anointing without resistance. Authority without affliction. But chosen ones, those marked by heaven, don't just go through battles. They carry battles. They endure them in silence. They war in prayer when no one sees. They wake up at 3 a.m. with a burden they can't explain. Their tears are unseen. Their groans go unheard. But heaven knows. And hell fears them. Ephesians 6 verse 12 reminds us, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places." The chosen know this by experience. Their life is a constant wrestle, not with people, but with pressure. With atmosphere. With spiritual resistance. And yet, they fight not with fists, but with faith. You can identify a silent warrior by what they've survived: trauma that should have broken them, betrayal that should have poisoned them, losses that should have paralyzed them. And yet, they're still here. Not bitter. Not broken. But burning. Their wounds became weapons. Their scars became scriptures. And their silence became strategy. Some of you reading this right now, you've been fighting in silence. You've been holding the line for your family. Interceding for a prodigal child. Praying through depression. Fasting through confusion. Smiling while bleeding. Serving while empty. And you wonder, does anyone even see what I'm carrying? Yes. God sees. And He says, because you fought in secret, I will reward you in public. Because you stood firm when no one clapped, I will lift you when no one expects. You are my battle axe. My hidden sword. My secret strategy. Let me take you deeper. Silent warriors don't boast. They bleed in secret and cover others while they do. They don't draw attention to themselves. They draw demons to the front lines because of the fire they carry. There's a weight they carry, and that weight is glory in disguise. You think you're weak because you cry. No, beloved. You cry because you carry. Heaven gives its heaviest assignments to its quietest soldiers. That burden you feel. That's not punishment. It's purpose. Think about David. Before he ever stood before Goliath, he killed a lion and a bear, in private. No applause. No stage. Just him, a field, and a fight. But the silent victories qualified him for a public showdown. Your hidden victories matter. Every time you said no to temptation. Every time you chose prayer over panic. Every time you shut your door and interceded through the night. Heaven was watching. And hell was trembling. The chosen are not loud, they are lethal. Their silence speaks volumes. They don't post their battles online. They process them before God. And that's why they're dangerous. Because the devil can't track their next move. He can't decode their worship. He can't disrupt their devotion. This silent warfare is not a curse, it's a calling. And if you're in it, it's because you're trusted. Trusted with pain that produces power. Trusted with battles that birth breakthrough. Trusted with seasons of silence that sharpen your spiritual hearing. Isaiah 30 verse 15 says, "In quietness and trust is your strength." Don't let the world trick you into thinking that loud means strong. Stillness is a weapon. Silence is a strategy. Quiet trust is a mark of the mature. And the chosen, oh yes, they know how to wield silence like a sword. When others panic, they praise. When others rant, they rest. When the world shouts, they kneel. Because they understand, power is not proven by volume. It's proven by victory. So if you've been in a silent war, know this: heaven has been documenting every moment. Every tear is stored. Every groan recorded. And every unseen battle will one day lead to an undeniable reward. God will honor what man overlooked. God will reveal what you've concealed. And the very warfare that threatened to bury you, will become the platform He uses to raise you. You are not weak because you fight quietly. You are not forgotten because no one saw the battle. You are not abandoned because you wrestle in the dark. You are chosen.